Back at you with another one. Southampton 1, Arsenal 0, and we're now knocked out the FA Cup. And that's very disappointing that we be knocked out in the 4th round, considering we are the holders. And I did predict a 1-0 victory, unfortunately, to the wrong team. And we did go out by an own goal, and Gabriel, who I thought didn't play well at all, and yes, is coming back after his COVID, but he sort of showed that he's not played football for quite a while, and that's the case for many of the players. So we've had the likes of Eddie Nketiah, Willian and Pepe, etc., who recently haven't had much minutes, and they're all thrown into the team. And we played a very, very good Southampton with a very well drilled manager who's got them organised. And in terms of the match stats, we both had 11 shots and we both had 2 shots on target. We seem to have dominated the possession with 62%, but if I'm honest with you, we wasn't really threatening and we didn't do much with that possession at all. So in terms of the team lineup, Arteta's gone for the usual 4-3-3. I was slightly disappointed not to have seen Matt Ryan have made his debut today, because I thought this would have been a decent game for him. And we did see Leno, and for me it's pivotal that at some point he gets his rest, because even in the Europa League group games, when we all thought Ronison will be playing those games, I believe Leno featured in most of his games, and Ronison only featured 2-3 games. So for me, Leno played and he didn't really put a foot wrong. In terms of the own goal, I can't really blame him. It was an unfortunate deflection by Gabriel at the last second. Other than that, I'm going to have to give him a 6. Moving on, Bellerina, who was captain tonight. And that's another decision of Arteta. One of many decisions that I really, really dislike. Yes, in terms of the sort of first half, he looked better defensively, but he didn't help at all. What we sort of saw was Bellerin sat here, El Nene doesn't really go up. So what there was a massive disparity between the right wing and the right back, and it was Pepe was here, Bellerin was here, Mohamed El Nene just sort of sat there. They were synchronizing and practicing perfect, safe social distancing, but in a football game you ideally need these guys to link up, and there was none of that at all. And it was telling that Arteta took off Bellerina off in the second half and not Cedric. So maybe he's starting to sort of phase Bellerina out, and he has realised he's not the right back that many people think he is. He's not even a right back. So but in terms of his overall performance, by his standards, he wasn't that bad defensively anyway. Attacking, he offered nothing. So based on his performance today, I'm gonna have to give him a 4. Gabriel, Rob Holding, I thought they were really, really, really poor today. Gabriel got better as the game sort of progressed, and you can sort of tell with match fitness. He's not played, a few minutes here and there. Sorry, he's not played, I believe, since the game before Christmas. And for him to sort of come in, and you can sort of see initially he was a bit shaky, but as the game progressed, as I mentioned, he looked better. So I'm going to have to give him a 3. It was his own goal, but it was unintentional, so he gets a 3 for me. Rob Holding, who was equally as poor, but I'm going to have to give him slightly a higher rating because it wasn't his own goal that lost us the game. So Rob Holding for me gets a 4. Cedric, you could sort of see he doesn't look as comfortable on that left hand side as he did on midweek on the right hand side when we played Palace. So based on his performance, I'm going to have to give him a 5. In terms of some of the crosses he put out there, very poor, overhit many of them. But yeah, he gets a standard 5, and you can clearly see why we need to go out in the market and bring in a suitable backup for Kieran Tierney, because once Kieran Tierney's not featuring, we just look so lost on that left hand side. Moving on to the midfield, Xhaka, El Nene, I just think that they offer absolutely nothing. These two are just the least creative force you ever want in your midfield. The difference is, many people believe Thomas Partey is a defensive midfielder, but he's actually a box-to-box, and he's sort of the same type of player as Xhaka and Elneny, but the difference is Partey will break the play up, and then he'll be progressive with the ball, and you sort of saw it with the goal he set up for Aubameyang. Difference is, that's not part of Xhaka or Elneny's game, and whenever Xhaka does try to ping the ball from deep, it's just very poor, rarely ever gets to the player's feet. So for me, Xhaka and Elneny, I'm going to have to give him very, very poor ratings. They both get a 3, equally bad. Willian. I mean, every time this guy starts, it's just, what's the point? It's like, does Arteta not know that, you know, every time you play him, you might as well play 10 men, because this guy is absolutely useless. And for me, that's another reason to add on to the reason why I don't back Arteta or trust his process, because he's now become arrogant and in this belief that, you know what, I can't admit that I was wrong in bringing Willian to the club, so what I'll do is I'll continuously play him until he reaches some sort of form. But it's not happening. It's really not happening. We need to stop this Willian, playing this Willian agenda. It's just going nowhere. So for me, Willian, just don't ever want to see you ever play. And even there was that point in the game which typified Willian's game. He got the ball off the player, but then what he did, even though it was a foul, and then he just misplaces the pass when he passed it right behind Cedric, and you think to yourself, this is exactly why no one wants Willian in this team. And I think everyone can see it except the man that matters, and that's Mikel Arteta. So for me, Willian, he gets a 1, and I really don't want to see him ever again in this team. Moving on, Martinelli. For me, even though he didn't do much, you could sort of see the runs he was trying to make, and he was very unfortunate with that free kick, and he kind of scruffed it with that left foot. But you could sort of see the play he was trying to deploy, but it's just that the other members aren't on the same wavelength as him, and I just think he's too good to sort of play with these guys here. And based on that, I know he didn't do much, but who played really well for me to sort of give man of the match? And if I'm going to give anyone man of the match, it's going to be Martinelli, and I'm just going to have to give him 6.5 because everyone else was that bad. Nicolas Pepe, very, very poor, but he looked so much better in the second half when Thomas Partey came on and he was trying to make things happen. So based on that, I'm going to have to give Nicolas Pepe a 4. Eddie Nketiah, I think we've seen enough to know this guy is just not going to do it. He's not going to do it. This is another Chuba Akpom. Yeah? For what I always tell people whenever they bring up his under 23 stats is, if Eddie is so great and you're telling me he's England under 21's record goal scorer, then why is it that he still doesn't get called up to the national team? Why is it that Mason Greenwood, who's played probably 10% of the game Eddie has played in the under 21s, yet Mason Greenwood gets that call up and Eddie doesn't? It's just that anyone that knows, Eddie just can't make the mark. When it comes to under 23s, you know, year 5 football, amazing. But when it comes to men's football, that's not Eddie's job. So for me, Eddie, a bit useless. And I just think when there was that rumours about West Ham wanting him for 15 mil, just accept it. You saw the difference. Balogun scored a hat-trick last night. Eddie just absolutely scruffed everything. I'm not sure whether they want to sort of give him, if his mates call him trampoline, because every time the ball gets to him, he just bounces off. There's no hold up play. He just doesn't offer nothing. There was that brilliant ball that Pepe put him through on the left hand side, scruffed that as well. Just doesn't do nothing. He doesn't look confident. Yes, I know he's not had the minutes, but I just don't feel, and from what I've seen, and that's plenty of minutes compared to a few minutes here and there by Balogun, it's just so telling that Balogun in those Europa League games, yes, I know it's only Europa League and people call it Farmers League, but in that small minutes, I saw a lot more from him than I saw Eddie playing in those games, which people constantly remind me, oh yeah, Balogun only scored 2, got an assist against Farmers. Then why didn't Eddie in a longer time not do more than Balogun against those Farmers? So for me, Eddie, I just think he needs to go, and I will accept any bid coming in for him. So based on his performance, I'm gonna have to give him. He was just slightly better than Willian, and he does work hard, but you're not a footballer for working hard. If I want work rate, then I'll bring in Mo Farah, because he's got energy for days and he can burn energy, run up and down, run up and down. So I'm not gonna rate him based on work ethic. So overall, I'm just gonna have to give Eddie Nketiah a 3. In terms of subs, Thomas Partey came in, and you can see the difference between him and everyone else in that midfield. It's just he's head and shoulders over everyone else, and I'm hoping with Odegaard coming in, he can maybe complement, the likes of Partey going forward. So Thomas Partey, for me, he gets a 6. Other sub, Saka, I felt a bit sorry for him because I'm sure he was wanting to make a difference, but then he only played on up front for a few minutes before he was taken back to left back when Bellerin came off. So Saka, for me, can't really judge him too much, so he gets a standard 5. Lacazette didn't have much time to influence the game, he gets a 5 as well. And if I'm correct, there wasn't any more subs. But I know I sort of mentioned and ranted about Eddie Nketiah, and there are many fans who go on and blame Balogun not signing because of Balogun wanting a high sort of term, etc. But I think Fabrizio and many people close to Balogun's camp has always expressed that his desire is to stay at Arsenal. However, he wants game time. So you can say what you want, but Mikel Arteta is the reason why Eddie Nketiah plays and Balogun's not in the squad. And it's come from the horse's mouth itself, and I thought I would bring highlight to Mikel Arteta's quotes. So if we look into this paragraph here, it goes, push to clarify why the academy striker, who has scored twice in the Europa League this season, didn't make the squad for the FA Cup win over Newcastle. The boss added, because of the competition we have in some positions, there are other players who've not had many minutes and they played in the FA Cup. It takes time. We have to respect the pathway. Eddie Nketiah as well is not playing a lot recently as well. He is in front of him at the moment. We have to be calm and respectful. There you go, from the horse's mouth himself. Eddie Nketiah is ahead of Balogun. Now, another reason to add on to my massive list of reasons not to back in this process. Like, anyone with any decent football IQ can clearly see in the limited time Balogun has, he's more effective, he's got more about his game. Even in the under-23s, Balogun's link up, amazing. He's played out on a wing a few times, dribbling, strength. You even saw that assist he gave for Willock, where he backed himself against 2 grown men and laid it up for Willock. Difference is, Eddie had that same opportunity, but he tried to twist and turn past the defenders and get a shot, and he just went to no man's land. That's the difference. You can go on and talk about the under-23 stats, but under-23 means nothing. It's all about, every player has their different development, and from what I've seen in terms of overall game plan, Balogun is miles ahead of Eddie. Eddie is just a fox in a box, and that's all he will be. And in terms of the way we play football, we would never suit that style of play. So for me, the sooner he goes, the better. But if you were to read this article, surely you're probably thinking, that's probably Balogun out the door now, because clearly Arteta himself has said that Eddie is ahead of Balogun. But there was some interesting quotes by the reliable AFC Bell yesterday saying, a source close to Balogun's contract renewal negotiations, the player is open to staying. This option is still on the table despite the interest of a large number of clubs. Negotiations are still going on, and the player imagines staying in the club if the club decides to meet his demands. We will see what results in the coming day. There you go. So hopefully, if he really wants to stay, and I'm Arteta, I will find the room for him, because for me, Eddie is not good enough. Let's just get rid of him. Balogun might not be the answer, but at least, you know, we don't know that. We've seen with Eddie, he can't make it. We don't know that for sure yet with Balogun. And if he doesn't make it, then on the conveyor belt, we've got Moller there, we've got Tyrese John-Jules coming up as well. So for me, we've trialed out Eddie for far too long now. So for me, just get rid of him and bring in some of these guys, and hopefully Balogun stays. But in terms of comments, we've got Will Brooks saying sell Bellerin, he's rubbish, but we may get decent money for him. Or I think you're trying to say we might not get decent money for him. If I'm honest with you, I would take 20 mil. Anything over 20 mil, I'd, you know, shake your hands, because in terms of some of the targets we're looking at, maybe like a Lamptey, how much would he cost? 40 mil. Get 20 mil for Bellerin, add an extra 20 mil, and there you go. You've got your perfect right back replacement. Shimon Machete says Hector is inspirational. He helped Tierney a lot too. I mean, that's great, but we didn't hire Hector Bellerin to be a cheerleader. So why is he on 116k to be inspirational and helping Tierney? I expect that as a player who's he has been here the longest, so he should have the Arsenal DNA, and therefore he should be welcoming everyone at the club. But for me, I judge Bellerin on the pitch. What he does outside of the pitch, I've always maintained that I agree with most of it, but it's what he does on the pitch, and for me, he's not good enough. So therefore, for me, he just needs to go. Sam Brady, Bellerin was off to Paris Fashion Week. Do you get more pissed when Bellerin comes on or Willian? Both need shipped off as soon as possible. Agree, both need shipping off. But if I was to select one who I reckon annoys me more, it's probably Bellerin, because I look at Willian's situation. He's a 32-year-old. He's, you know, been here, done it all at Chelsea. He's not got the motivation, so he's just here for some retirement centre, and I blame the club for bringing him in. The difference is with Bellerin is that he's a younger player at his peak, and he should be focusing on the football. He should be trying to get better, but he's just not got that motivation. And when you hear him coming up with quotes like Alexis Sanchez loves winning too much, or when they asked him about Aubameyang's form and he says if every striker scored every time when they were one-on-one with a goalkeeper, then football won't be fun. It's like, who says these stupid quotes? He's just got this loser mentality, and for me, it's that mental mindset which I feel as if it's decaying the rest of the dressing room. So for me, you need to ship off Bellerin as well as Willian. But as I said, because of the reasons I've mentioned about Bellerin being younger and he should be more driven, but he's not, and he's got no ambition, doesn't care about football, the sort of remarks he makes that just sounds very negative. He's not got that winning mentality. I'm going to have to go with him. Adam G says Partey is a warrior. He even makes Xhaka look good. Partey is world class, head and shoulders over anyone in our midfield, and that's just simple facts. Ryan Bertrand, why are we looking at another 31-year-old? Have we not learned from Willian? Yeah, I don't know why. I've heard we are also looking at Tyreek Mitchell from Crystal Palace, so hopefully we do go for him. Ryan Bertrand, I wouldn't say he will be as worse as Willian, but we shouldn't go for these short-term targets, because what's the point of banging on this whole concept of a process when all we're doing is, you know, filling in gaps? And therefore, for me, Ryan Bertrand is not a long-term decent option, so we need to back off. Someone's asked, what about Aaron Haaland? I wish. I don't think Aaron Haaland will ever happen, unless for whatever reason we have such an awful season and we don't get Europe again, and Stan Kroenke just gives up, and those Saudi group that was about to purchase Newcastle United in the summer just gone, and they purchase us, and then we become a multi-billionaire club, then we might be discussing Aaron Haaland. But whilst the Kroenke's here, it's just a dream. The only time you'll ever see Haaland is on FIFA 21 in an Arsenal top. But other than that, all the best. Frankie M, wait until all the Aussies flood your channel, bro. Okay, I guess that's with the whole Matt Ryan. If there are any Aussies, what is Matt Ryan like? Is he any good? Is he highly rated over there? just let me know. I've got Jake Stevens. Do you think Matt Ryan will start? Okay, sorry, as in the game. Well, no, he didn't start. Hopefully we can see Matt Ryan, more of him soon, and see if he is a decent backup for Bernd Leno. But anyways, I know it's a sad way to start off our weekend, getting knocked out of our trophy. After all, they've named it the Emirates FA Cup because we are sponsored by the Emirates. So it is sad, but hopefully we can get our revenge on Tuesday. But until then, please continue to support, like, subscribe, and until then, all the best. Take care.